Well, there's still no firm commitment on poker machine reform from the government, and with a Liberal Speaker in the House, Julia Gillard doesn't need the support of Andrew Wilkie to maintain government. So where does that leave the push for pre-commitment technology? Nick Xenophon is the independent senator who's also pushing for change.
Well, I spoke to Andrew Wilkie just a couple of minutes ago, and his position is still firm. He entered into an agreement with Julia Gillard for mandatory pre-commitment legislation to be passed by May. His conditions are the same. He's been consistent and principled from day one. If the government wants to go down the path of so-called voluntary pre-commitment, well, that would be a clear breach of the agreement.
But there's still no commitment from the government. In fact, there's some commentary today suggesting that Julia Gillard could be on the verge of breaking a promise. Is that fair?
Well, it wouldn't be fair on Andrew Wilkie, and it wouldn't be fair on the hundreds of thousands of Australians who are deeply damaged by poker machines every year. We know from the Productivity Commission the extent of the problem. I think Julia Gillard needs to realise that if she breaks her agreement with Andrew Wilkie, it's not just a breach of trust with him, but it's a breach of trust with every Australian that's been hurt by poker machines. And also, I think it would have a devastating blow to the credibility of the government. So the government, I think, realises that it needs to get poker machine reform through in a very substantial and real way.
Does that substantial and real way mean that there's no talk of a compromise or any watered-down legislation? Well,
let's see what the government is offering. If the government is talking about voluntary pre-commitment, we know that doesn't work. We know that it's a bit like having voluntary speed limits or voluntary drink driving laws. That wouldn't work, and it would be a joke. But let's go back a step. Andrew Wilkie was using my office as a base when he was negotiating with Julia Gillard back in August 2010. His first position and best position was to have $1 bets, but the government didn't go down that path. Now, if the government wants to compromise, and if they want to look at $1 bets, which would deliver a very good policy outcome, it would be cheaper and cheaper to implement, simpler to explain, then they should look at that if they're serious about poker machine reform.
But for now, is that option of $1 betting limits dead in the water?
Well, you know, it's floating in the water. I don't know if it's dead in the water. I think it's fair to say that the government doesn't seem to be attracted to it, but you know, if they're serious about poker machine reform, that would be a realistic option, given that key crossbenchers and the Greens are saying that they would be preferring $1 bets. So that's something that needs to be taken into account. I mean, look, if they walk away from this, and I heard rumours weeks before it happened that Peter Slipper was going to become Speaker with a view to marginalise Andrew Wilkie. Well, sometimes in politics you can be too clever by half, and the government needs to realise they never know when they might need Andrew Wilkie's vote again.
Senator Nick Xenophon in Adelaide, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.